Hey, what's up, creators? This is your old buddy John, and you have once again found the Sketch Magazine podcast. I am here, as always, with publisher Bob Hickey and editor Bill Nichols, and tonight we are talking about editors. Why you need one, where to get one, and how foolish you are to be without one. How you doing tonight, guys?
We're doing great, John. This is Bill.
Hey, John. This is Bob.
This is Bob. And so, you both have been editors in your lifetime in comics. First off, it would probably be smart of us to tell everyone what an editor actually is. So, who's the current editor now? I think that would be Bill. So,
Yeah.
Bill, you get to run with that one.
Well, an editor is sort of like the cowboy in the rodeo who's leading herd over a wild stampede.
What?
I was wondering where we was going with this, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go along with it. So keep going.
Well, I mean, you have a bunch of bucking broncos sometimes, and you've got to get those little dogies down the chute, get them to market and all that.
We're talking about editors here, right?
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Silly
little
audience.
punchy, little
yes,
punchy, but
little bit.
okay.
Silly audience analogies are for kids. Okay,
All right.
now what an editor
But-
really is.
But an editor is a person who guides the project, whether the title or a miniseries. It starts with the writer with the idea, but an editor is a person who is there to act as a sounding board, as a polisher, as a guide to make sure that things are sort of held to a standard, or can be. And really, some editors are sort of not, hands-offish. Some are. Some are more, have more of a kind of like the director in some ways in a film, to guide. I mean, different editors have different styles and modus operandi, but really, that is a lot of it is a guide for whatever project you happen to be working on, and that runs from everything to, like I said, from sounding board to spell checker in some cases, or fixing syntax, or grammar. Sometimes it's as picky as putting a period at the end of a sentence, but it's. Why are you laughing, John? Bob?
That would not be me.
As you can tell, Bill is my editor on clothesway.com. I have problems with punctuation every once in a while, and more. So I agree with Bill. I usually would bring on an editor, discuss a project with them, show them what I want to do, and then it's basically their job. One to, they have many aspects. Sort of proofread what we're doing, make sure the characters are within voice of what we're trying to set up, that we don't veer away, and that the project moves along in the direction that we've discussed. And you have to justify to the editors, like, well, I've decided to do this and this, and he's going to come at you, or he or she should come at you and go, now, are you sure? Is this what we really want to do here? Because with every project, you can do an issue by issue and issue thing. You still need an editor to make sure, from beginning to the end of that book as well. But then you need an editor to oversee from that first book to that last book. Are you getting to where you want to go? So, many different editors, many different ideas. Where you find those editors can always be fun. But I've been very lucky to work with some great ones.
Really, like who?
What makes a great editor? Is probably the next question. What makes an editor good? Is it being nitpicky and popping in the punctuation, or is there something else to it?
To me, a good editor is out to make me look good. So they're doing their job. They care enough about the project that they want the end product to look as good and professional that we can produce at this time. So it's sort of, they don't get the glory as much, but they realize that their efforts are to get the project out. Sometimes they're involved in the time frame. Let's get this done. You've set it up for end of the month. Let's go. And sometimes they're just overseeing the story. So I get, way I see it is, I work with Bill and Clay's Way. I work both of you guys with Skystorm. You throw Bill Love in there with Camelot Forever. Everybody sort of does a different thing. Bill Love is more of a story editor. I'll play stuff around with him. I'll throw out ideas. He'll come back with questions. He's trying to make a better story of what I'm throwing out. I think you two guys probably look at the long-term thing, how it's going to fit within the studio. Bill looks at Clay's Way 2, hopefully real soon, 3 days a week.
Mhm.
John, you've jumped in there and edited them when we had to. So
Right.
and that's just a one-off strip. Am I getting what I want to say to the reader? Because sometimes you can be way too close. I think that's where it's really important with an editor can say either you pulled it off or what are you trying to get across? Because it's not coming across. So that's sort of their job. It's not to be nitpick. I don't think that's right, but try to make you more professional, or try to make the project as professional as possible.
Right. I think that's with Clay's Way. I mean, if it doesn't work, I tell you.
Right.
And whatever project, or if it's a certain strip or whatever, it's to make it better. And I think that if you're the editor, part of that is when you're in the middle of the process, you not only have to look at what this is that you're involved with, but what it can be, what it's going to be. You have to look at the future because as an editor, you see the potential, hopefully, of the end result. I mean, you go day to day and just let it go as it, let it happen as it's going to, but you try to bring out the best in all aspects of whether it's the art, the writing, the coloring, and I do some sort of volunteer editing on different indie books, and sometimes that's as much as looking over something to see if, a script or whatever to see if it works, and I'll give my opinion, and some of that's very hands-on in a way. If something doesn't work for me, I'll let them know. Nothing's written in stone, but yeah, you have to have a sort of a vision. Not that it has to adhere to that vision, but you can see the potential of a project and help guide it along, so that you bring out the best in all people that are involved, because that's what you want. Everybody wants to bring their best to the table, and if you are sort of in that groove, you can bring out the best in everybody all at the same time on the same project, and you have a really great end result. Whether that's a one-off strip with Clay's Way, which I have fun editing, or for me with Chris Noeth on Maya and his submission for Snack, the pitch that he's doing, that's fun for me. It's like inking. I love inking. I don't like penciling, but I love inking because inking is sort of a synthesis of two styles. An editor and the creator relationship is sort of a synthesis of talents from both ends. It's a give and take. It's a sort of a pupil, teacher, mentor kind of thing in some ways, and each one's different, and each person is different, but each one brings their talent, and they play off each other, and the end result is hopefully a really great comic or a great strip or book or whatever you happen to be editing or being involved with. So, and seeing.
Oh no.
No, here we go again. Well, I guess the reverse side of that is what makes a bad editor? What do you not want to look for in an editor? Or what do you want an editor to not do
Write,
with you.
try to do my work. Let me tell my story. Don't tell my story for me. Okay. In other words, and I've had a little bit of this, where somebody will come in and all of a sudden, yeah, and then they'll like give tons of information, and I'm like, whoa, 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 hold on, hold on. This is my story. Guide me. Make sure I get to the point I want to get to, but let me tell what I want to do. I think that's the worst thing you can do as an editor is try to take over a story by offering way too much information or acting like you. There's a tug or pull. It's how much freedom you give your editor. Can they tell you that's not your character? Well, I'm always playful. Show me it's not. Tell me. I always say my characters write themselves, and I truly feel like they do. Um, so it's sort of like if you're coming in and telling me no, that character doesn't sound right or whatever, then okay, justify that. But
Right.
The thing with an editor really helps is I went to the comic shop today and Test, who owns the shop now, as soon as I walked in the door and says, "Hey, I read Clay's Way today. I really liked it." I thought that's sort of funny because I came home and didn't have one done. I had to throw it together. And somebody else came in who had read it and says, "Yeah, it's really starting to get its own voice." And I thought that was sort of funny. But it's sort of like maybe I should just write on the fly for more often, not think about it. But I'm glad it's starting to get that feel. We've got 12 strips out there, so it's starting to get a feel. But here again, Bill really came in and tweaked some of the stuff. I'd written it very quick. Bill came back, retweaked it a little bit, offered up a suggestion. I liked it. We rolled with it. We got a better product at the end of the day. A better product that people verbally have told me they're enjoying, and that's the goal. So, but get back to bad editors. I think the worst thing an editor can do is try to take over a story or a character or something like that. You're an editor. Edit,
Right.
get to, help them develop, but don't try to take it over. Start your own book.
Well, the few times that I edited Clay's Way, I caught myself um, trying to be too much of a continuity cop.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good thing for an editor to be, or is that something that just sort of messes up the process?
I'll tell you real quick, Bill. I'm gonna hand it to you. I think it depends on the project. Clay's Way, being a strip, one-off, I don't think continuity is important. I mean, we can't substitute the panda bear with a tiger. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
But if something perspective art-wise is a little off, we're still at the beginning. We're still getting a feel on all these characters, and we're tweaking it. So no, but on a comic, continuity to me is important. Um, so yeah, things should be probably a lot more heavy-handed on a true comic book.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think with a like say Clay's Way, the continuity is more fluid. You can play with certain elements because there's an imagination involved and um, this world, and it is fluid. So, but with a comic, yeah, it's more concrete. There is a certain amount of, I won't say rigidity, but there are things not so much set even in stone sometimes, but there are certain things that need to be adhered to. Like you said, with you couldn't come with Clay's Way and switch out Pan for something else.
right.
If you did, that would be a different strip. I mean, you could do that, in the context of the strip for a joke or whatever, but that's how fluid the continuity is. But in a comic like with Blood and Roses or Storm Quest, I mean, these characters have a history, and that continuity carries through that history, and you don't want to change the you don't want to flip character types. I mean, if you have someone who is brash and uh, ready to go into a fight every single time, then all of a sudden, there's a story, and maybe there's I don't know, situations or something that bring out some maybe an opposite thing, but you don't want to just suddenly have a turnaround where that character just would, maybe want to grab a guitar and sing a love song kind of thing. It's a completely opposite take on the action hero that he has been, unless maybe at different points you have been leading up to this, and that's part of continuity. Is if you have a history of doing things, and if it's within the if it's within the tone of the book or whatever, or the character, you have to be true not only as the writer, but the editor has to be true to that as well. And different miniseries can have different artists and even different writers, but if you're editing or guiding this project along, continuity through all these things has to be um, looked at, kept up, that kind of thing. Because with, say, Blood and Roses, I mean, there are different. It has held. The girls have held their characters throughout.
Right.
So, and that's with Spider-Man or Batman for the most part. I mean, subject to individual stories or maybe certain projects or whatever. But yeah, continuity is, and that goes back to the rodeo thing, and that was sort of an analogy I used back when we did Knights Roundtables. Like, how do you edit somebody like Bo Smith? Well, you kind of don't. Bo's just there, and that's where the cowboy reference originally came from, was Bo, because he's wearing that hat and acting all tough and stuff. But it's an act, and
Yeah, but even Bo's willing to be edited. I mean,
oh yeah,
that's a great thing about guys like that. They know, that they can slip up, or if they miss. I guess like those guys, you're looking for something they might have left out, or
right.
you're like, ooh, you know what, you missed this opportunity. So, hey, this Maya comic, that's MAYA comic.com. Our listeners, it's pretty sweet. They should go check it out.
I agree.
I know you're editing it, and I hadn't really read it, but I just popped it open. The artwork and coloring is really sweet. So,
well, really, I proofread it, but what I do is I proofread it for grammar and context and stuff. And plus, like with you with Clay's Way, there's certain, I may tell you that a certain word may need to be bolded, put in bold or italics or whatever, to sort of add emphasis to, because it's hard to, something may sound in real life may sound really funny, but if you just straight type it, there's no inflection there, and you may miss the timing of your joke, but you can sort of space that out maybe, or sort of hedge that with fonts, we'll say.
right.
And with Maya, I offered to proofread it for him way back when, and I won't say I really edit that, but because I'm just sort of along for the ride, and I mean, it's a ride I enjoy doing, but I helped him guide his pitch for this other book he's pitching, Snack.
Right.
And I don't know, I groove on that, I really do, and I feel lucky to be involved with the things that I get involved with. But I have had things where somebody wanted me to be their editor, and they already had 3 issues done, and my questions were pretty much not met with any response. It was they really didn't need me.
Right.
Is what it ended up being. They really just didn't need me.
Right.
But like I said, it really depends on the project itself, and how that all, the chemistry of the people too, how that all works too.
Right.
So.
Well, assume I've got my first book that I'm creating, and I am just about ready to get going on it. When do I need an editor? in the process, if I do at all. And then how would I go about finding one?
Well,
Well,
again, this will be short, Bill. Um, I think from the once you get your proposal, what you want to do, your concept for your characters, it's time bringing an editor because you need somebody to start bouncing it off of and polishing it. Whether you're going to illustrate it or if you're going to have somebody else illustrate it, you need to really get these characters in your head. So because it just helps the story flow down the road. Um, but I mean, that's not always a possibility, but it's one of the best ones is to get one from the beginning. As far as finding one, um, hmm, I've been lucky. I've worked around with a lot of professionals, so I haven't really had to outreach to go get one. So I really, Bill, how they find one?
I think all you did was say, "Hey, you want to edit this book that we're doing?"
That's
That's
what I do.
yeah. So I mean,
What about?
we started with we started with that, and we did some, we did the diecast magazine
Yep.
thing and some
Cool.
other things. So yeah, going back in the day.
Way back.
But for example, with Chris, that was during a conversation that or over a couple of emails where he mentioned something, and I said, well, if you ever need it, if you ever need help with this or that, here I am, because it's not, it wasn't about me, and a lot of it isn't about me. If I'm editing something, it doesn't have to be my vision, my uh, voice, all that stuff. It's it's the project. It's whatever the goal of that particular project is, whether it's about a character or a storyline or whatever. But I think sometimes you can have other people in your circle who are, and you may have people that you don't even realize you already do that on an informal basis. Someone that you sound story uh, ideas off of, uh, someone who points out things to you, and maybe that person that you've sort of not so much taken for granted, but it's like seeing the forest for the trees syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
They're there, and maybe you have people like that already in your circle that are ready and capable of being your editor. Um, Now, sometimes that may not work out because you're friends, and it's hard to take advice from friends. But yeah, I mean, if you look around, you can find other people.
Yeah, I was going to say something like that. What if, and I think we've all run up against this whenever we turn to people we're close to, they'll go, no, that looks great. That's fabulous. It's, perfect the way it is. Don't change a thing. What do you do then? Where do you go then? Do they write to comicsmentor.com and hire you, or what should they do?
If you have that situation and you just don't know, and that goes for portfolios or whatever. Yeah, I'm always willing to. I don't mind to look at somebody's stuff and give them my opinion because it's my opinion. I had somebody write me, I guess last month, and I mean, really, he wanted to pitch his stuff to DC, but he wasn't. I didn't have a story to go with. That was the main focus was I didn't have a story uh, to look over and to get an idea of where his talent was. And finally, I got sent something, and there was very few words in the whole thing. So that was really difficult, and we worked through that because he was just in a period of transition, and so in the meantime, he was trying to shoot off these emails to me, and it was coming off sort of short and sweet. And then he finally, he took he was taking my advice, but I wasn't getting the feedback to me that he was. Um, I gave him some things to consider, and he was doing those, but wasn't telling me that he was doing those, and he would uh, write me back and. Uh, I don't know. I'm giving more things to work on. Then finally he caught up. He had a moment to breathe, and then he caught up with a regular email. But yeah, I'm always willing to to take a look or to give somebody my opinion. Again, it's my opinion. Just like portfolio reviews, my opinion. But I'm not going to tell you something that's either to just placate you, or if you do, you know, hire me as, you know, for to do the portfolio, the more in-depth portfolio thing. I don't tell you just because you paid me money. Say, oh, this is really great. No, that's not what you give me money for. If you do that, but or if I just look at your site and say, well, this is what I see, and I may ask a couple of questions. And I'm not the only one that is willing to do that. There are all kinds of people on a lot of the message boards. People are willing to offer their responses, their feedback, and really, I think if you take a lot of people's feedback, just like if you go to a show and you have your portfolio, and we've said this before, you may have 10 editors, and all 10 editors may like and dislike different things in different degrees, or other artists or whatever, and you kind of have to take the consensus out of that and look at what the people say, and then sort of take a good hard look at what the portfolio that you're presenting. But that's another thing an editor does, is look at portfolios or look for people to collaborate with. And so yeah, I mean, Comics Mentor, like I said it before, is a resource. I mean, use it. Go there.
And who do you absolutely not want to be your editor?
My wife.
Your wife.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's broaden it a little more.
Well, I say that because she looks at the Claysway strips and says, "Honey, I'd never wear a dress or a top that collar, or I would never wear that collar with that collar pants." I'm like,
right.
My gosh. All right, thank you, dear. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, how close to your, I guess, how close do you socially or whatever do you want to have an editor? I mean, Bill sort of touched on it's hard for friends to take advice from friends, or it's hard for friends to tell a friend that they're messing up on what is potentially their dream. So who is it probably a bad idea to go to for editing advice? I mean, in my opinion, it's probably in a lot of cases, it's probably a bad idea to go to someone who, and this isn't always true, this may come off a little cynical, but it's a bad idea to go to someone who is kind of at the same level as you are.
Sure.
As far as, your place in the industry.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion, because not that someone would tell you something to sabotage you, but you got to figure, Bill kept saying, it's just my opinion, it's just my opinion. Yeah, but it's an informed opinion based on 20 plus years of, comic knowledge,
right.
Based on 20 plus years of being in one way or another creator.
Right.
So it's a very informed opinion.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, if you and a buddy are both starting out, you're both doing your first book, it's probably not a great idea to be each other's editor.
No.
But go ahead, expound on that, please.
Expound on that?
Expound or expand on that. Who else is it maybe not the best idea to...
You just have to be careful, not somebody else who wants to... How to put this tactfully? Yeah, that seems to be the problem, huh? I guess on the flip side of it, John, instead of going at who not to, it's probably who do you get that you may know.
Right.
And I think a better time spent would be saying, okay, you need to find somebody, one, you respect in the industry, you like what creatively they've done, and you trust their opinions. Because if you don't trust them, what they're going to say to you, then you're wasting your time and their time. If they're going to come off and say, look, you've lost track, and you go, well, no, this is what I want to do, you're wasting each other's time if you're not going to take their suggestions. Not saying they're always right, because Bill Love and I go, okay, then show me where I'm going wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. If you show me, hey, rock and roll, I'm there. I want the best product I can. Just one storyline on the Camelot Forever. Bill and I just spent 12 hours. Bill Love and I spent 12 hours going to New York and 12 hours back. So we had lots of time to talk. And we discussed the whole Camelot Forever storyline and different aspects of it. And in that conversation, we were able to come up with some really cool concepts and expand on them. So not only editors sort of oversee everything, but hopefully help you develop along. So it's got to be somebody you respect, somebody who you'll take their opinions, good or bad, and fly with it. If you're not willing to take anybody's opinion, if your story is your story, and that's the only way it is, then don't waste anybody's time. Don't hire an editor. If you're not going to listen.
Right.
I really depend a lot on editors for grammar, for make sure I don't get lost within a story. I know when I relaunched the Blood and Roses storyline, I launched them with kids, and I had some people go, "What are you doing?" And I had to explain, I want to jump forward, but the storyline itself is going to jump back. But I wanted a new launching point. I wanted to go, oh, wow, these girls do end up having a life. But I'm not giving you too much about them, other than these kids been around each other because they're teasing each other and stuff, so they know each other. But that's it. Then we jumped right back into them telling a story in their past, and we haven't touched base again. So I had people come and go, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? I'm like, I just want to get a new feel, get another feel for these characters. So, but I like people coming to me and, saying, are you screwing up? You sure you want to do that? And is this the right time? And I had a counter for that. So, that's a good editor. And you got to be willing to listen. So, when you go work for the big guys, you're definitely going to get edited. Or even if you go to like MH, whoever's running the image end of it, they're going to look over your stuff and they're going to have lots of questions, some of them more than others. And so you got to be ready to answer questions and be willing to tweak stuff. So whether it's storyline or page count or cover designs or logo designs or whatever, you got to be willing to take their suggestions and either justify why you're doing it or make the change.
Yeah, because no, go ahead. Sorry.
Please go ahead.
No, we've talked about the creative part of it, but there is a financial aspect of it too, and that's what your part of what you're saying here is, because especially as
don't you love an editor who jumps in and finishes it for you?
Well, I've asked you before. You joked about me putting words in your mouth, and I said, "Are they the words that you would say?" And you said,
"Yes, they are."
Yeah. So
I'm teasing.
But yeah, I know, and but especially you have to look at the financial aspects of it too. I mean, is this something that you're trying to make money off of? Is it a financial? I mean, is it a financially productive endeavor? Is that what are you just trying to put comics out there, or are you trying to put comics out there that sell, that not only tell a story, but there is a financial reward to them? An editor has to keep an eye on that too, just on the quality and on the the project itself. I mean, we've been to shows and we've seen. I've seen small groups of guys get together and want to do their own book, quote unquote, not studios, but like a bunch of friends who sort of want to do their own comics. And there's one guy who's sort of the editor, but he doesn't really have it's almost like he's just part of the group.
Right.
Maybe he writes a story here and there or something like that. Maybe he lends something to it, but his title is the editor. But he really doesn't do. I mean, I'm going way back in years to think of a situation where I saw that, or that I'm quoting from almost. But I mean, really, what do you want to get out of it too? I mean, is it an artistic statement? Is it an artistic project? Is it a combination of all that? And that the person that you have an editor as your editor has to also have an eye on that too, because that is an aspect. I mean, if you're intending to make money and everybody profit from it in some way, so that you can continue to do it, do another issue, another miniseries, that kind of thing, then that weighs more heavily on not only just the creators themselves, but an editor or anyone who's in that position that has to look at the future. Does this thing have legs? Is it a one-off miniseries, or is it pretty much done once it's collected into a trade, or even just published the first time, or will it last? But um, financial responsibilities is another aspect of it that you sort of have to weigh into the whole mix there too. Okay, I had the point.
No, so you're saying the editor almost has to be. They can be a part of the group, but they need to be apart from the group in a lot of ways. To have that distance and that level of, let's say, leadership.
Right.
Essentially, they have to be the leader of this, motley crew, uh, to get something that's going to be worth people reading.
Yeah, a leader, not an ego, because
Right.
that's the other situation I was thinking of way back when, was that the person who had the title of editor uh, almost had more of an ego than the guys he was working with, who were actually doing the book. And I mean, in some ways, that if you can bring everybody else to sort of say, let's do this thing, then that's one thing. But um, it's almost like he was just wearing it as a title, and had a big shirt almost. He could have worn a big shirt that says, "Editor, I'm the editor," or "I'm the dungeon master.
Right. You all
Fear
those
me."
peons. Yeah.
You know, but it's almost the same fervor, um, which for me translates to drama, and we all know that I don't like useless drama.
Hmm.
But
Or even
uh,
useful drama, for that matter.
useless drama is okay. Uh, there is a different. You have to also balance responsibility as sort of a leader position versus someone who is not just a crack the whip person, but almost overbearing, so that everybody just hates. Anytime you have something that you love become a chore, um, then that just takes the wind out of the sails. And an editor can not only just crack the whip, or just say, or just remind us, like, your pages need to be in by Friday so that we can get them to the next person in the creative process, but also sort of encourage her and say, you know, this is what's going on with everybody else, and bring everybody else up. Of course, I'm all about encouraging. Yes, I know, but that really that's has to be part of it too. And there is a balance, and if you can find somebody who has that balance of leadership, wisdom, and encouragement, and vision, then you got yourself the makings of a pretty decent editor. And if his name's Bill Nichols, then okay. Who am I to argue with that? No, I'm just kidding. I just kidding. Yeah,
A little.
a little. But I mean, if it's one of your friends, and if it is somebody who's on, say, the same plane as you, I mean, as the creator of, I mean, if this is your book, then you have to balance that too, and that's a trust thing that you have with somebody else, is that you're going to trust that other person with not only your ideas, or to give back feedback to say if this is good, not good, needs work, how can I make it better? Something's not working. You don't want to work with a wall. The wall gives you nothing back so much, but you want somebody who will feed back into you, what you put into it. So,
Right.
okay, that's enough of tirade right there.
So basically, what we're saying is everybody can use a good editor. Everybody. And be willing to listen to the ones that you choose. And I mean, there's no. If you and your editor bust heads, it sounds like either that editor is wanting to write your book, whatever. Then find another one. Go out and find somebody else who can overlook your stuff, or go to comicsmentor.com.
Yeah, but there's also if it's productive butting heads.
Well, then you don't need an editor. You've got it figured out.
Well, maybe so, but if it's productive headbutting, it shows you both have passion for the piece and that you both want to get the best out of it you can. So, don't shove somebody out the door just because you don't always agree with them. I mean, look how rarely the three of us agree on anything. So, but
yeah, but we create some cool stuff.
Well, there it is. But you do just keep it all in mind that as much as we would like to think that comics are, or as much as some people like to think rather, that comics are a singular endeavor and a singular process, it takes a lot of people even to do a creator-owned book.
Oh yeah.
It's not just you. So, avail yourself of those people around you. And if that doesn't work, go to comicsmentor.com and hire Bill.
Brought to you by comicsmentor.com.
That's right. This podcast was produced and operated.
Bill Nichols, and I approve this message.
No.
Which I always hate that when the people who approve the message are actually on it.
Yeah.
It's like, moron, you're on the screen. We know you approve the message. So yeah, that kills me. But thankfully, all that ridiculousness is over for a while.
Yay.
I hope so. Hey, speaking of editors, has anybody seen the book Earth 1 that came out last week from DC Comics?
I have not seen it yet. I have run many a story about it, but I have not seen it yet.
I just read it today. I was doing a lot of boring digital transfers today, which means I would have time to read 4 or 5 pages at a time and then have my computer do something else. And while it was working, I would read 4 or 5 more pages.
Right.
And I love J. Michael Straczynski. Wonderful writer. I love Babylon 5. I love a lot of things he did. But whoever thought it would be cool to make Superman look like he's 16 and call it Superman, not Superboy? I just... The story is solid. The concept is cool. The updating's nice. But...
He looks like a Twilight vampire.
He looks like Twilight. But yeah, I had not put that together. You are absolutely right.
Yes, he does. He looks like
he's
one of those mopey Twilight vampires. Yep.
He's just way too small. I'm sorry.
I mean, even as a kid,
he's been soaking up rays his whole life.
You envision him as being, kind of...
Well, my thing is, they do a sketch in the back of this book where he looks older, and it's like, that's what they should have did.
Right.
That shot, not this kid. I don't know. I guess they're trying to reach out, but $20 shot. If I buy the next one they do, it's strictly going to be because I like Straczynski. I mean, the artist is great. I just don't like that version of Superman. It's not my favorite. So, there again, I think whatever their editors was thinking, they must have been watching Twilight. I don't know. So, who was the editor? Who did I just slam?
Yeah, who did we blame?
Yeah, who did I just slam on this? I love it when they hide.
Well, that's why they hid it, because he didn't want to take the blame.
Oh, of course, Eddie Berganza.
Oh, well, he
He's one
knows
of the
better.
editors.
He
Yeah.
should know better.
Well, and calling it Earth 1. I mean, we all know what Earth 1 Superman looks like. He was huge.
Right.
So, I don't know. We'll see if they move him along, age him a little bit in the next one, maybe.
Maybe.
I hope so.
I mean, I don't agree with much that John Byrne does, but making Superman be a big, kind of thick football kind of person.
Man of Steel was awesome.
Right, made a lot of sense. So
Yes. Yes. Man of Steel. I can still pull that trade out and read it from front to back. It was well thought out.
yeah, for the time.
Yes.
Anyway, now it looks a little hokey, but
Yeah, well,
yeah, for the time it was really
for
good.
the time, it was very good. Yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in there. It's been sitting here by me all day, and just the past hour, I've been like, oh, gosh, it's just, the artist is really good, and it shows in the back he could draw them a
Yeah,
little bit bigger, a little bit, just slightly older. I think it would have pulled it off, but we'll see.
and lose the stupid hood, but you know, whatever.
Well, I don't mind that. I understand them trying to play with the hoodie and hide his looks before he decided to wear the outfit and that whole thing, you know. But, yeah, I don't know. I keep picking up, looking at it, and setting it down.
Yeah, put it away. It's bothering you, obviously.
It's rather bothering me, but they should have had Comic Mentor edited or something.
There you go.
Yeah. Cool.
Then we could all work for Bill.
Yeah, we can. Huh?
We could all work for Bill then, you know? He can't edit that many books by himself. We'd all have to go work for Comics Mentor.
That's true. That's true. I think he'd try, though.
I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
As we talk about him like he's not here.
It's all right. I'm inking while we do this. So.
Oh, you're really paying attention to the broadcast.
Oh, I'm focusing.
Oh, there you go.
He's just not doing his inking very well.
Well, we'll see.
So, editors, I think we've talked a lot about them. What else is going on? I could go on and on about conventions.
We could.
Yeah.
There is one coming up.
Yes, there is.
Actually, my last one for a while, so somebody better make this one fun for me.
I'll do my best, John.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, Mid-Ohio Con's this Saturday and Sunday, which would be November 6th, 7th.
Yeah, so
yeah, we're
through
all
the magic of podcasting, through the magic of podcasting, it'll be last Saturday and Sunday, but for us, it's still in the future.
Right. So, I'm sure we'll be discussing all the good things, hopefully. I haven't set up at a Mid-Ohio Con in a few years, so I'm looking forward to it. We have a booth with Blue Line and Skystorm, so.
I've been at the last two, and I really enjoyed them both, so.
Good.
Or actually, the last three.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed all of them. It's always a good time. The people at Mid-Ohio always treat us very well.
Right.
And they seem to treat everybody very well, not just, comic related. So, I have nothing but good things to say about Mid-Ohio most of the time.
Good.
The only thing is that convention hall,
if
it's in the same place, it's a tad bit of a walk.
Yes, it is.
So definitely wear your walking shoes, especially if you are in the adjacent hotel.
Uh-huh.
A tiny bit of a hike. So make sure you're ready for a little power walking to get out there.
I'm actually staying at the Drewery.
The Drewery?
Yeah, it's supposed to be right down the street. So.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly where that is. We usually end up getting the Hyatt attached to the convention center there.
Right.
I
came in too late to get 2 rooms there, so.
And then walking for a year and a day to get over to the convention center, but it's all inside, so that's a plus.
Right. Yeah, especially now.
Yeah, no kidding. So yeah, if you happen to be in the area, make sure you stop by the Blue Line and Skystorm table, and then I'm not sure locationally where we'll be, but come check out the comic-related table as well. We'll have candy.
Ooh.
Because I had no trick-or-treaters.
Really?
I bought enough for about 100 trick-or-treaters. I had one. I don't know where all the kids were this year. Maybe I scared them all away during the year or something. But yeah, I had one trick or treater, so I have bags and bags of candy left.
Cool.
And I really can't be eating that stuff. So
No.
come by the comic related table and get it off my hands quick, because it's eyeballing me.
Uh-oh. Come and save John.
That's right. Come save me from the evil candy.
Yes. So, yeah, let's wrap this thing up. John?
All right, let's hop over to the Sketch Magazine online page. And actually, fortuitously, um, we were inadvertently talking about people who get together and just make comics. Well, I came across this group called the Comic Book Assembly, which is apparently a group that just gets together in a basement and makes comics together. There's an interview with this young woman named Sarah O'Neill. And it's a very interesting interview where she talks about what her group does, her own projects within that group, and so on. So check that out. And if you're not necessarily in it for the money, like we were saying before, but you're just in it for the fun of comics, get together with a couple of friends. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
It's a great way to hone your skills. First off, secondly, it's very social. It's a very good way to just get together with like-minded people and have a conversation. Comics occasionally have a bad way of making people somewhat insular. You're stuck at your own little drawing table in your own little house for hours on end. This is a way to get out and be a little more social. So think about that. Then I came across two really good interviews with Jerry Robinson. Um, I, for one, and I don't think I'm the only one on this podcast that feels this way, I am a big advocate for remembering our history.
Mhm.
That as young as our industry is, it still has a very rich history, and that we're losing a lot of these older guys kind of more and more every day. So any chance that we get to celebrate some of the older guys, it's a good thing. So I found these two great interviews with Jerry Robinson. For those of you who don't know who Jerry Robinson is, he created several of the early pieces of the Batman mythos, including Robin, Alfred, Penguin, and most importantly, the Joker. So, and he apparently has a new book coming out soon, or probably already out now, which he speaks to this young woman about in the first video. And then in the second video, he talks more about the creation of the Joker. He shows an original sketch that he created.
Cool.
So check those out. Then I actually found Todd McFarlane drawing something. I was amazed. He apparently somewhere along the line decided to actually pick up a pen, or in this case a mouse, and start doing drawing tutorials again. So I found one of him talking about getting started on your comic. It's actually fairly interesting, and he's very detailed about about the process and everything, and no hype whatsoever. I was shocked.
Mm.
So un-Todd McFarlane like, but it's actually a really good video, so check that out. Um, then the next one, I've mentioned several times that I'm a big fan of the Copic marker, and it's always good to see people doing the Copic marker well. So I found this young woman here who is working on hair, and as an inker and artist, both of you can attest that hair's a bitch.
Oh yeah.
So at any time that anytime that you can do a really good job with hair, uh, you tend to impress because a lot of times hair ends up looking like instead of being part of the head, it looks like it's actually on the head, like a helmet,
Right.
and that usually makes the art look terrible. So anytime you do it well, especially coloring it well, uh, you tend to impress people. So that's a pretty good video. Then I got back on that little kick of mine again, where I found an artist doing an interview and then found some things of him drawing. I'm kind of a big fan of Koi Koi Pham. I always try to mispronounce his name, and he actually started with 10 Ton Studios,
Yep.
which I was part of for about 3 seconds, and I think Bill was part of for significantly longer, if you're not even still part of that. And I was rather amused to find out he's a lawyer.
Wow.
He actually has a law degree that he's never used. His mom insisted that he get a real degree, even though he's always aspired to do to be an artist. But
Right.
so he's actually got a law degree, and I suppose can represent himself if he ever gets in trouble. But and then there's a couple of videos of him drawing, and actually, because we did the podcast so late last week, that
Yes.
catches me up for now.
All right.
Yay!
Some good stuff. The McFarlane stuff. Is there any date on that? I mean, is that
Oh,
recent?
no, I think it might be, or at least he
Okay.
released it recently. But yeah, all the videos I have 2010,
Right.
2010 release dates.
Uh-huh.
Now, when the actual video was created, it's hard to say, but
Right.
it was just now released, apparently by him too, or at least by someone
That's cool.
representing him or claiming to be him.
Right.
So
Interesting.
yeah,
Interesting.
so and there's a lot more of them too. This is just the first one of apparently a bunch. So
Cool.
yeah, if you like that, hop over to YouTube, check out the rest of them.
Awesome. So, Bill, what's going on over at the boards and Comic Mentor?
Over at the boards, we're currently getting judges' votes in for the DVD. Uh, get them to the Greek DVD art contest for Sketch Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've probably got about 8 judges in, and I've got several others coming in. So probably by this time airs, we'll have a winner.
Cool.
But you can go to the board and look at the entries. There's some cool stuff there. And on Comics Mentor, this last week has been about mostly it's about like personal stuff or encouragement stuff. What kind of impression do you want to leave? You're going to have things coming up against you.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's your schedule, financial difficulties, personal issues, whatever, it just it's encouragement to get through that. And if I'm involved with something, I will mention it, whether it's the art contest or the podcast, and that's usually makes up 1 or 2 of my posts in a week. So mostly it's encouraging, and we'll do some practical stuff here and there. But that's been the last week.
Awesome. Let's see. Been working at Blue Line, sent out a newsletter there. Catching up from doing a show last weekend. I'm only in studio for 4 days, and I head back out to Columbus. So we got a short week. But in between here, I've been working on a lot of digital stuff. So brushing myself back up on digital, creating digital comics, creating digital magazine for Sketch and stuff. So, but you can just out there trying to create stuff, trying to make cool stuff, and keep claysway.com going. So that's a lot of fun. So, John, where can they find you?
They can always find me at sketchmagazine.net or comicrelated.com.
Bill?
Find me at comicsmentor.com or the Comic Related Forum. Hang out there and comment. And, our podcast, like I said before, has a thread for each one. So this last week with the sketch cards, we've gotten several sketch card artists lending a voice, and I think we got a thumbs up.
Cool.
So it was nice to actually get several people's feedback and then sort of a conversation back and forth. So
right.
Go to the comic forum comic-related forum.
Right. You can reach all three of us. If you got a question, please send us questions. If you got subjects you want us to cover, please send them in. Send it to podcast@sketchmagazine.net. That goes to all three of us. We discuss emails that we get in prior to doing them, and we'll try to cover anything you have. So this has been Bob. It's been great. Take care.
Good
See
night,
ya.
everybody.